Happy Friday! Today is May the 15th, and this is the 9th edition of Book Fun Friday. The young adult novel that I'm going to talk about today is titled FANGIRL, and it's written by Rainbow Rowell. You may recognize that author's name. She's written many books, among which is Eleanor and Park. I love that novel. Maybe you've read it and you love it too. But let me talk a little bit about what's happening in FANGIRL. Give you an idea about the protagonist. The main character in this book is a young woman named Kath, and Kath has graduated from high school and is just about to embark on her freshman year of college. Now, you need to know a little backstory about Kath. Kath's actual name is Cather, and Cather is a twin. She has an identical twin sister named Wren. Now, the reason that those names were given to these girls, which are Cather and Wren are a little unusual, is this. When their mom was expecting, she didn't realize that she was having twins, and she had picked out the name Catherine if she ended up having a girl. Well, she ended up with two girls, and so their mom decided, hey, the best way to name two girls is to take one girl name and split it in half and give each of them half of that name. So one girl ended up being named Cather, and the other girl ended up being named Wren. You put those together, you get the name Catherine. Well, sadly for Cather and Wren, when they were young girls, their mom decided one day that she didn't want to do this anymore. She didn't want to be a wife anymore. She didn't want to be a mother anymore. And so she abandoned their family. Well, obviously, this had a pretty profound impact on the two girls and their dad. The dad ended up suffering some pretty profound emotional problems as a result of being abandoned and being forced into the role of single parent. Wren became extroverted, extra friendly, extra outgoing when their mom left, and Cather, became withdrawn, just sort of separated herself physically, emotionally from her dad, and even in some ways from her twin sister. Well, the one thing that got Cather and Wren through their childhood after their mom left was this. There was this wildly popular book series that came out when they were children. Imagine what life was like for us when the Harry Potter books started coming out, and how popular they were, and how children couldn't wait for the next book to come out, and the dress-up parties at the bookstores, and the movies that came out, all of those experiences. Well, something similar is happening to Kath and Wren through their childhood, and because that book series had come out, and because these two girls loved the book so much, they were able to read them together and bond together in this way, sharing this book story together. And that really helped them get through those horrible years after their mom left. Well, Kath, when she was a teenager, actually decided to take it one step further, and she became a fan fiction writer. Now, if you're not exactly sure what fan fiction is, there are fan fiction writers all over the internet who take existing books, again, think Harry Potter, and they take these books, these characters, these settings, these narratives, and they write their own versions of these stories. So let's say, for example, there's a character in Harry Potter that you really didn't want to die in the story, and you're a fan fiction writer, you would write it so that that character lived. Or by the same token, if there was a character who didn't die in Harry Potter and you thought he or she should, you would write your version where that particular character did die. That's what a fan fiction writer does. He or she takes an existing work and turns it into his or her own version of that particular story. Well, Kath does that. And that's a real thing for her to hold on to as she navigates those high school years, because she is such a solitary soul by this point in her life that really that's all she has. Meanwhile, her sister, who is the extrovert, the extra friendly person, has gone through high school with lots of friends and going to parties and dating. And now these two girls have landed on the other side of high school graduation and are about to start college. Well, college is hard for Kath, you can imagine. I mean, she goes from being this introverted soul who spends all of her time at home reading books and writing fan fiction quietly, singularly in her room to now being thrust into this world where there are thousands of students and meeting new people, and it's all very stressful for her to picture. And she has a tough time with it in the beginning. I'm going to share a little passage from chapter 1 then, just to give you an idea of these two girls, Kath and Ren. Kath, by the way, is very particular about her name. Obviously, her given name is Cather. She doesn't like Cather, so she wants everybody to call her Kath. She's very specific about Kath. So here, this gives you a glimpse of Kath and Ren. Chapter 1. There was a boy in her room. Kath looked up at the number painted on the door, then down at the room assignment in her hand. Pound Hall, 913. This was definitely room 913, but maybe it wasn't Pound Hall. All these dormitories looked alike, like public housing towers for the elderly. Maybe Kath should try to catch her dad before he brought up the rest of her boxes. "You must be Cather," the boy said, grinning and holding out his hand. "Kath," she replied, feeling a panicky jump in her stomach. She ignored his hand. She was holding a box anyway. What did he expect from her? Oh, this was a mistake. This had to be a mistake. She knew that Pound was a co-ed dorm. Is there such a thing as co-ed rooms? The boy took the box out of her hands and set it on an empty bed. The bed on the other side of the room was already covered with clothes and boxes. "Do you have more stuff downstairs?" he asked. "We just finished. I think we're going to get a burger now. Do you want to get a burger? Have you been to Pear's yet? Oh, burgers the size of your fist." He picked up her arm. She swallowed. "Make a fist," he said. Kath did. "Oh, bigger than your fist," the boy said, dropping her hand and picking up the backpack she had left outside her door. "Do you have more boxes? You've got to have more boxes. Are you hungry?" He was tall and thin and tan, and he looked like he had just taken off a stocking cap. Dark blonde hair flopping in every direction. Kath looked down at her room assignment again. Was this Regan? "Regan," the boy said happily. "Look, your roommate's here." A girl stepped around Kath in the doorway and glanced back coolly. She had smooth auburn hair and an unlit cigarette in her mouth. The boy grabbed the cigarette and put it in his own mouth. "Regan? Cather! Cather! Regan!" he said. Kath," Kath said. Regan nodded and fished in her purse for another cigarette. "I took this side," she said, nodding to the pile of boxes on the right side of the room. "But it doesn't matter. If you've got, feng shui issues, feel free to move my stuff." She turned to the boy. "Ready?" He turned to Kath. "Coming?" Kath shook her head. When the door shut behind them, Kath sat on the bare mattress that was apparently hers. Feng shui was the least of her issues, and she laid her head against the cinder block wall. She just needed to settle her nerves, to take the anxiety she felt, like black static behind her eyes and an extra heart beating in her throat, and shove it all back down to her stomach where it belonged, where she could at least tie it into a nice knot and work around it. Her dad and Ren would be up any minute, and Kath didn't want them to know she was about to melt down. If Kath melted down, her dad would melt down, and if either of them melted down, Ren would act like they were doing it on purpose, just to ruin her perfect first day on campus, her beautiful new adventure. "You're going to thank me for this," Ren had said. The first time she had said it was back in June. Kath had already sent in her university housing forms, and of course she put Ren down as her roommate. She hadn't thought twice about that. The two of them had shared a room for 18 years. Why stop now? We've shared a room for 18 years, Ren had argued. She was sitting at the head of Kath's bed, wearing her infuriating, "I'm the mature one" face. "And it's worked out great," Kath had said, waving her arm around their bedroom, at the stacks of books and the posters on the walls, at the closet where they shoved all their clothes, not even worrying most of the time what belonged to whom. Kath was sitting at the foot of the bed, trying not to look like the pathetic one who always cries. "This is college," Wren persisted. "The whole point of college is meeting new people." The whole point of having a twin sister," Kath said, "is not having to worry about that sort of thing. Freaky strangers who steal your stuff and smell like salad dressing and take cell phone pictures of you while you sleep." Wren sighed. What are you even talking about? Why would anyone smell like salad dressing?" "Like vinegar," Kath said. "Remember when we went on that freshman tour and that one girl's room smelled like Italian dressing?" No. "Well, it was gross." "It's college," Wren said, exasperated, covering her face with her hands. "It's supposed to be an adventure." "It's already an adventure," Kath said, crawling up next to her sister and pulling Wren's hands away from her face. "The whole prospect is already terrifying." "We're supposed to meet new people," Wren repeated. "I don't need new people," said Kath. "That just shows how much you do need new people," Wren said. Wren squeezed Kath's hands. "Kath, think about it. If we do this together, people will treat us like we're the same person. It'll be 4 years before anyone can even tell us apart." "All they have to do is pay attention," Kath said, touching the scar on Wren's chin just below her lip. "You know I'm right," Wren said. Kath shook her head. "I don't." "Kath." "Wren, please don't make me do this alone." "You're never alone," Wren said, sighing again. "That's the whole point of having a twin sister." And again, this is Fangirl, and it's written by Rainbow Rowell. Well, guys, thanks as always. It's a beautiful Friday, and I hope you have a beautiful weekend. I appreciate you tuning in and watching and commenting. Stay well and healthy. I hope your family stays well and healthy. And until next time, take care. Bye.